here, welcome back to my channel. Just doing a really short and sweet video here today. I had a few comments on one of my previous videos about a little window trick I did. This is a trick that's been in the game for a little while now, and I just kind of wanted to show off how I did it in a video, and also show you a couple of other little camera tricks and tips that they may be useful for you in dream snaps or just generally if you're trying to take photos and stuff like that. So I did want to go around and kind of have a little talk, show you a couple of little things. Like I said, it is a very short and sweet video, so it's not going to be like heavily in depth. There's probably plenty more tips and tricks that you can do, but I just kind of wanted to showcase the kind of features that you can do with this. So the first one is this cherry blossom trick, which is pretty cool. I set it up when I was taking a bunch of photos here in my plant room, I guess you could call it. It's my plant storage room. I am hoping to have a build, well, not a build video, but a tour video of all my storage rooms once they're all completed. But yeah, I thought I'd show you this. So in order to do this, what you basically need is this window. Now this window is a premium shop item, so if you don't own it you won't be able to do this trick, but premium shop items often come in rotation, so when it comes back make sure you pick it up. And basically you just need this window and any other windows that you like. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take a photo, basically. I mean, you don't have to take a photo even, actually. Just like this is fine. Like, it works this way too. But I imagine you're mostly going to be using this when you are in camera mode, because you're probably going to want to use this trick for taking photos. So yeah, let me pull up my camera and do this. Now whilst I do this, you don't get any of those cherry blossoms, so you do need to use a zoomed out camera. Now I'm not close enough at the moment, so again we still don't see them. The important thing is you want your camera to effectively go into the window. So I'm going to press V again, which gives me more control, and then if I zoom out, my camera location is basically where that turning red window is. And then like I come too far forward and it's gone. So just something to bear in mind. And then obviously you can angle your camera around and just take whichever shots you need. This isn't a shot I would usually take because I don't like seeing the black borders. But yeah, you can do something like this, press E to capture, and there you go, some beautiful cherry blossoms in your window and things like that. Obviously depending on how you zoom around will depend on the size of them and things like that and the placement, but it is a really cool trick that you can do. Now the next trick I'm going to show you, I'm actually going to come out into the main room, and we're going to be using this seat which you get from the Bell quest. Now I hadn't ever done this before. I've seen it by someone in Sarah's Discord. Actually, I've seen a few different attempts of this. Let me see if I can get another window actually. Let's have a look. Does it work with that one? Yeah, it does. So basically what you can do is you can actually take photos where you're outside here and it looks like you're on the outside of the window. So the first one I'd seen before, oh god, I wish I remembered the creator's name. They actually did a photo where they had Merlin outside on this little lift bit, and they had the Christmas festive window, and they had Merlin outside, and it looked like Merlin was Santa and outside the house and stuff like that, which was really cool. You can obviously use it with this one as well, because this item will actually overlay the door or the exit way, which the other windows, if I come into furniture mode and do this, they don't do. They don't work. But because this works almost like a stand-in separate three-piece item rather than something that I guess is like attached to the walls like this, this will cover the doorway. So if you specifically want to cover the doorway bit, this is one to use. And then you can just zoom out. You can take the photos as you need them. But yeah, it's a cool little bit of like camera trickery and things like that you can do. Obviously, if you're using the longer length windows, you're gonna see the like lift and stuff. So you may be better off getting a different window. Let me see what we've got. And I think you definitely need, yeah, you might need... Can I? Oh, no, you can. Okay, you can. So with this one, you can see the, like my character through it, but you don't see the window, which is, not the window, the lift, which is quite cool. You also do get the kind of slight bat effect going into the other windows as well beside it, which is, again, another cool bit of trickery. That's one of the reasons why I love these, like, animated windows and stuff like that. I think they're very, very cool that way. Now, the next thing that I want to kind of talk about is the camera modes themselves and the effects that they have in them. So if we go into the like the UI and everything like that, so we have these different camera modes, which for me, I have to press V. Depending on what console or whatever you're on, this will probably be different. Obviously, I'm on PC, so it gives me all the mouse and keyboard requirements. So just bear in mind, like, whatever keys you use may be different if you're on a console and stuff like that. And there are 3 main camera modes. So the first mode that happens when you open up your camera is this selfie mode. With this selfie mode, there's also 3 different poses where you can remove it entirely, and then, like, generally she'll just do them in rotation. You have different facial poses. Now, the facial poses are the same even if you're in selfie mode or non-selfie mode. You have different filters. So we've got this black and white. We have this kind of like sepia toned one. Then a couple of other different slightly brighter coloured ones, which all have an impact on how your image looks, which colours pop and things like that. And then you also have frames, which you can overlay onto your image as well if you so wanted. So that's just a few things to bear in mind about the different options that you have there. The second camera mode is this mode, which is a kind of static camera. You can circle it around yourself, but your person is always, or character is always going to be central in the photo. With this photo, you also get the blurred background effect. Now, one thing I want to say is, due to the Switch's capabilities, this might not be as noticeable for you. It might be the same on the older consoles as well with Xbox and PlayStation. I'm not sure, but it definitely has this blurred background effect. So that's just something that I want to kind of clarify. I did have someone ask about it in a Discord that I'm in, and they said, like, how'd you get it, or I don't have it, and blah blah blah, or I've gone to a different console and now I've got it. This is always there. It's just you might not see it as clearly depending on the abilities of your console. But there is a way to remove this blur. If you go into filters and you select this filter along on the top row, so this is the 4th one along, it removes that background blur. So you'll see now the picture's quite clear in the background here, especially if you look over towards the house. I'm gonna click this button to remove it, and you'll see it gets that blur back. So once again, changing, it removes the blur, and then it comes back. So that's just something to bear in mind. If you don't want that kind of blurred background, use this filter. Now, it does mess with the colors of the, like, in-game. So some of the colors might seem a bit more vibrant, some of them might seem a bit duller. But if you don't want that blurred background, this is the filter you need to use. Now, I don't know if this is an intended feature if it's just an error or whatever it may be. And I do have to give credit to Emmy for this. I will leave a link in the video description down below to their channel, just because they explain this in more depth. They kind of know a bit more in terms of the camera terms and things like that. Now, I do want to say as a disclaimer, Emmy does use a lot of shaders and things like that, which make her photos look absolutely beautiful and pristine. I love her work. She's great at editing photos in, I don't know if she uses Procreate or something. She does a lot of screenshot edits, so you might know her in the community for her amazing photography skills, because they are just next level. She takes photos in-game and then just really elevates them. So, I will leave a link in the description below. Her video goes into a bit more detail about how this specific filter works. So I'll let her explain that. But yeah, just something to bear in mind. Don't want the blur in the background, just use that filter, and then I'll remove that now. The next mode is like a free camera mode. So when you select into it, it will automatically place behind your character. But with this, you can zoom in and out. You can rotate it around. You can move it so that your person potentially isn't even in the shot. Look at that. I've got rid of myself. I'm not there. You can zoom in on your character a bit more. You can get closer ups. You can position it so your character's like to the left of the shot and things like that. Now, this doesn't quite have the black background blur that the other pose has, so that's just something to bear in mind as well if you don't want that. Now, the only thing with this is the angle on this camera mode is slightly higher, I think. So it has this kind of like tilted angle. For anyone who's kind of my age, you might remember the MySpace emo pictures that you would take with the high camera angle. That's basically kind of what I feel like this imitates. Oh, my words are not wording today. But yeah, so it has this slight tilt to it. It's not hugely noticeable, but it does mean that you lose a lot of the top view of things unless you zoom out. So like the top view of these, lamps. Words really aren't wording today. So if I zoom in on my character, I kind of lose that. Whereas if I was just in this mode, because the camera angle is more flat and straight on, you do see the tops of them. So just something to bear in mind in terms of that. But it is great for if you do want to get shots of your character from behind, if you want a slightly different angle and stuff like that. Like say you don't want your character to be center of the image and things like that. This has been great for a lot of the bedroom dream snaps, because you can sort of angle your camera to focus on a particular item, like a bed, and have your character in the room doing something else, like have her at a vanity and things like that. So that's a useful tactic for this camera mode. The last thing I want to talk about is companions. So I'm going to quickly run through this. If I press the right button. In your wardrobe, you can select companions. Now, each of these different animals will have a different photography pose. So I'm just changing to the squirrel here. And then if we go back into camera mode, you do have to come out to this full body mode. And then you can click the little paw and you'll pose with your companion. This does also work if you use this background sort of mode. I say background mode, back view mode, or whatever, free camera mode, however you want to call it. And with this, you can kind of angle it a bit more and things like that. Zoom out, zoom in and stuff like that. So honestly, this mode is a really good camera mode. But yeah, this is the squirrel pose. Now I'm going to use the crocodile, and this is the crocodile pose. You hold the crocodile kind of out in front of you. Now this is the rabbit pose, very similar again, holding the rabbit out in front of you, less kind of arm's lengthy, a bit closer and things like that. Some of the animations you get with the different animals are just slightly different, I guess because of how the animals respond to you. Generally there's like a nuzzling effect, like there with the rubbing of the noses. Usually there's like a little head bump on the birds and stuff like that, so just obviously bear that in mind. Let's move on to the next one. So next we have the raccoons, and they kind of jump on your back in this way, and again you kind of give them little pets, little scratchies and stuff like that. The raccoon kind of gives you a little high five and stuff like that. Very, very cute. But this is the pose with the raccoon. Then we have a slightly more unique companion, which is Pua. When you have Pua, you hold Pua out in front of you like this, kind of cuddling it like a little baby doll or something like that. Very, very cute, and stuff like that. Now, there is a bit of a general consensus. I say consensus is not always a consensus. There is a vocal majority, I'm in that majority, I must admit, that don't particularly like Pua in some of the dream snaps because they obscure your character, they obscure the clothing, they obscure the shot. That's something I feel a little bit with Pua. I feel Pua takes the attention away a bit. Especially with this pose kind of thing. So, I mean, you're more than welcome to use Pua in your dream snaps. By all means, please do what makes you happy. When creating dream snaps, do something that resonates with you, something that you like. But I don't do a lot of posing with Pua, if I'm honest, because I think Pua just takes up too much of the shot, which sounds weird because Pua's tiny, but I feel like Pua really distracts when you're trying to take, for instance, if you're taking a photo of your character as like an outfit, it detracts from that. If you're trying to take a photo showing like a build that you've created, again, kind of the focus is on Pua, so I don't get it. I am not in the Pua love camp, I'm afraid. I'm really sorry for that. I know that's going to get me cancelled. But yeah, but that's the Pua pose. Going on from that, we have the turtles. Now with the turtles, again, a bit like Pua, you kind of hold them out in front of you and things like that. Very cute little animations and stuff. But just something to bear in mind. This is another kind of stand-in pose and things like that. Okay, now the next one is the sunbird, which the sunbird actually poses slightly away from you. You do look towards it. There is a bit of a head bump. There we go. I guess that's more of a cheek bump interaction that you get there, but the bird kind of flies and stuff like that in the pose and things like that, so there's no like kind of interacting in the sense of fully touching. I quite like this pose because I like the hand movements. I think this is a great thing for kind of like, I did this in my earth and air photo, this pose, and I think it looks good. It kind of has that magical element as if you're controlling something, controlling the air and whatnot. So I do really like that aspect of it. So this is a pose with the sunbirds. Just in case it hasn't been clear, it doesn't matter which color of like animal you have, like you get different colored sunbirds, different colored raccoons and things like that. The pose is the same no matter what the animal kind of species is. So all the sunbirds do this pose, all the raccoons do the back pose, and so forth. Now, next we have the foxes. The foxes give us a really cool seating pose. This is great if you want to get shots where it looks like you're sat down. The only downside with this is obviously if the fox doesn't kind of fit the image, you kind of have to disguise them, which often means having like this back on pose and things like that. This is great for if you're trying to do shots where it looks like you're sat on a blanket, or any of the kind of like cushiony decorations that you get on the ground in game. So this is really good for that, but that's for the fox companion. Now, next we have the raven. The raven will perch on your arm. Again, there's a bit of interactions like head bumps, as you can see here, but the raven is posed on you. So again, another standing position, but with the bird kind of attached to you, compared to the sunbird, which kind of flies in the air near you. Now, obviously, you can just like remove yourself from the animal pose and the companions will run and fly around you. But obviously, this is more specifically if you're wanting to pose with that animal. And then the last one is another unique companion, which is the pirate parrot. The pirate parrot works a bit like the ravens though. So if I come into the photo mode, you will see he too perches on the arm. So even though it's like unique in a sense because it's a parrot, it's not one of the other things, it does pose in very much the same way as the ravens do. So that's just something to bear in mind. Now, if you want these companions, in order to get them, some of the unique ones like Pua is tied to a quest. The parrot was in the Star Path and things like that. There's a couple of other skins that we've had from Star Paths as well for the animals. But generally speaking, the animals are in the valley, the critters are, and when you feed them so many times with their favorite food, they become like a favorite companion or whatever, and then you can actually pose with them. So if you are early game or even if you're late game and you don't have these, I generally would recommend that you log on game and you feed or interact with the different companions just so that you have them, to be honest. Depending on what companion it is, you might need to feed it a few times. There are certain companions that are harder to get than others because they only show up on certain times on a specific date and don't come around often. I think the last one I had to get was the red fox, which was like a 2 a.m. on a Saturday morning or something ridiculous. So yeah, there's a couple of companions that are a bit more trickier to get, but generally speaking, you should be able to at least get one of each of the different color variants. But I hope this video helped you a bit in understanding a bit more about how the camera works, some of the different little tricks you can do and things like that. I hope you enjoyed this video. If it helped you out, if it inspired you, please feel free to leave a like and a comment. If you have any other camera tricks that you can recommend, please leave them in the comment below for others to read. I think it helps us all out as a community when we know these tricks and we can all implement them, not only in our dream snaps, but just general photos that we like to take and post on social media and things like that. Obviously I do hope the camera gets a bit of an upgrade at some point. I hope we get more poses and I hope we can take photos sitting down and everything like that. But for now, these are a couple of the little things that you can do. I hope this helped you out a lot. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're not. I do post Disney Dreamlight Valley content fairly regularly. And I would love to have you as a member of the channel. We're on our way to 500 subscribers. I'll be really excited to hit that goal. I'm kind of like passionate about making that happen. So please just hit subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything, but it helps me out massively. Anyway, much love to you all, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!